Ready? Ah. Okay, so we begin with the Prastha Manjushri prayer. Oe lama dangam bo jambo yang lan chan so lo kongi londe Jimyen tenda nidra nanda raza jinyen deng jijyen seje nijyen thukara lekbam zen konda zib Sandora mare mendon dunga jizre dozo kenla pujen darze yen la doje yanden zon dodaranchen nyemo nyelon lejen jandro dozen jen mare menzen dunga nyungu jinyen jenze ralje nam denen dajin sajje tarz yenden Bhajana Deva Mara 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 Bhajana Mara Bhajana Deva 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 Mara Umara Bhajana Deva Mara Bhajana Deva Mara Bhajana Deva Mara Bhajana Umara Bhajana Zenden Jinji Jenra Vizre Dale Demo Member Razane Padan Denji Shunlo Tobai Loje Bobe Nawa Sandu Su Donji Jingo Ridan Jingo Nyanze Jada Kazin Zonda Majeba Palo Jinchi Jinja Besha Jindo Jima Meba Langu Era Dode Bosungo Bajim Bingo Nenchanza Jinja Zojo Shiva Nenzera Damje Do Tuje Jesu Zambranza Dozo Kangisha Santa Yemingam Gazar Zamben Donda Jen Zembeze Zendum Barvendo Kun Migen Zejur Tuje Dama Gune Jeren Jiden Sumji Konjabe Tuambe Mogarbe Shaben Dirinda Le Yenzurjon Jenzolembe Mendumbo Zerenja Namduran Jen Jedu Tenzo Benje Inden Jomarwe Pemanjo Nendale Yenzurjon Kumbulu Dwarian Devadan Tome Nyen Cholan Jenda Jujun Janani Bozo Zamlen Jencho Nam Jenda Ejon Kari Devarin Jenyimbe Guru Inden Kunjumba Vishasardo Nimbe Densi Bebe Nanjuruba Time Vizir Jenda Ejon Ridon Jamba Shana Janale Gumbilon Le Povetr Jendul Rumbo Chanzen Jamze Ngawanjur Evam Jambi Yanjenda Ejon Namanguru Jinimba Mentunji, Shezala Kunjana, Juntuji, Jimbedin, Tuji Kalaka Mendana, Palden Lamisha Jinda Ejon, Kongi Dolar Balabadan, Tuji Tenji Menga Nalazo, Labanzadan, Gurishin Lambe. Miji Tinchen La Menda Ishon, Yende Sanje Kunanya Nayang, Kadin Sanje Kunela Bigwen, Sayla Mishala Swande. Azon Rujun Roa Shinjilo, Kondo Juju Dongi Jidena, the Shelo Marjurba Kansuda, and the Tambichi Dicharmebe. Sember Devatada and Dirshi, Namoria Tambal, Haikedan Lodan Jige, and Rumda Dame, Kenamdan, Dua Kunjidanam Jizambar, Tamji Kedu Susur Tejurji. Majur Roa Nanka Danyam Besimjen Tamje, Namdul Tenji Devala Name by Yanda Varzo, Pisonji Jinkuan Perchela. Chine Janko Versha, Teiche do, Tekba Chimbe Shunlu, Jazicimbo Shivala, Teniji Zebe, Chanju Simbi Chobalan Juba Teni. Sulshindu Sene, Yamsulang Jiwa Yamdu, Samba Shanju Chodu, two Javadan Che the Sensals. So, firstly, kind of like preparing the base, the foundation, or the intention of doing this meritorious activity of teaching and listening with generating a vacant mind in this way for the sake of all the motherly sentient beings equal to its space, to all of them in order to free them from cyclic existence and its cause, the karma and afflictive emotions, and then to lead them to complete enlightenment. For this purpose, I'm going to engaging into this meritorious activity of teaching and listening Dharma, and then I will implement whatsoever I understand through these teachings. And with that kind of intention, I'll listen this teaching. And beside that, and while listening Dharma teaching, so the manner or the conduct should be like listen carefully in an excellent way and try to implant in our mind that the meaning as well as the words of the teachings. So with that, we kind of like prepare the foundation or the base, and then now top of that, then we are pouring this actual teaching, which is the way of Bodhisattva's life, which has a 10th chapter with the 4 theme. And among the 10th chapter with the 4 theme, we so far we completed 6th chapter with the 2 themes. The first theme is to how to why and how to receive Bodhisattva's vow and generate bodhicitta and receive Bodhisattva's vow within oneself. And then the second theme is to how to maintain properly without transgressing. And then the third theme, which is covered by the 7th, 8th, and 9th chapter, that how that further that one can develop or improve our bodhicitta until what destiny that we should work to improve it. And for that, and it's required diligence and meditation and conviction or the wisdom. So these are the 3 main things that we need to have within oneself in order to develop this our bodhicitta, or else we can say like they developed our this Mahayana spiritual training or Mahayana spiritual path to develop to achieve enlightenment. So these are the 3 things required. And then among these 3 things, the the first one that today we are here, this seventh chapter, guiding us how that we can develop the bodhicitta through increasing or improving our diligence or enthusiasm towards this way of bodhisattva's life. And then this diligence to to develop or to improve this diligence within oneself. And then this seventh chapter, mainly the first, it is introducing the entity of diligence, the what does diligence means, and introducing it. And then after that, introducing the contrary, which is obscuring or which is kind of like preventing uh, within us to, how to say, improve the diligence, which are the lazy, which is laziness. And within laziness, there are three types of laziness, which is obscuring our diligence. So, to that say we already introduced what are those laziness, as well as the antidote, that how to say one can lay it low and extinguish those three types of laziness in general. And then the particularly here now the alliance. So what are the alliance that we need in order to boost our diligence, and which is like those four martial power, or how to say, it is said in this stanza 32, right? Stanza 32, um, that through aspiration, yeah, this, okay, so stanza 32 is, therefore leaving everything that is adverse to it, I will labor to increase my diligence through aspiration. And these are the alliance, like aspirations and self-confidence and relinquishment and joy. Alliance, what do you call it? Allies, 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 joy. And then by stand of earnest application, and then exertion of control. So these are the six things are allies to boost our diligence. And the person who wants to boost their diligence and must train, or kind of like a, to have within these six characteristics or the qualities within oneself. And the aspirations that which we covered already, and today we are here studying about the self-confidence or the pride, that how this self-confidence is required in order to boost our diligence, or else we can also use the word pride itself. And then pride, Shantideva here mm, introducing very clearly. And then this pride has also how to say, uh, the have a self-confident, how to have a self-confident or the pride. And then the Shantideva introducing by clearly by introducing this pride itself, that one must needs to understand what does it mean, the self-confidence and pride. And then he is to thoroughly introduce that he is saying there are three types of pride, that pride of action, and pride of ability, and pride of afflictive emotions. So through this three types of pride, that we can, how to say, develop the self-confidence within oneself. And the pride of action, that we already introduced it. And then here we are studying the pride of ability. And this pride of ability, most of the that the how to the how to say, the how to uh, how to say, boost, or what, how to understand the, what does it mean actually, the pride of abilities, and then the faults and benefit of having that pride of abilities and not having pride of abilities, and then introducing pride of ability itself. And then on the other hand, the emotion pride, the afflictive emotion pride, and which is kind of like a, that the introducing the force of having that afflictive emotion pride. And until that, until here, we studied before this stanza 50, no, stanza 58, right? Stanza 58. Last time we stopped in a second line, is it? Second line. Yeah, so the until here, or feeble mind, ugly, without strength, the birth and loving stock of everyone. So till here, Shantideva introducing the faults of afflictive emotion pride. The person who have afflictive emotions, and these consequences the person will going to undergo, and such as uh, that when in 50, stanza 57, when arrogance inflates the mind, it draws it down to a state of misery, one, or ruin happiness should human birth be gained. Thus, one is born as a slave and dependent for one's sustenance, or feeble mind, ugly, without strength, the birth and loving stock of everyone. So these many consequences, like here, that what do you call it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, almost 6 or 7 different consequences that person will going to experience if the person keeps that afflictive emotion pride. And then after introducing the faults of this afflictive emotion pride, then here the next line, ngajal jiking katubchin, deha ngajal chen tok nas, member chinda imbar mes. Then the next one is the this ascetics. Is it ascetics? This ascetics puffed up with the conceit. If this you call the proud, then tell me who are wretched. Right? Tell me who are wretched. Now, this two line, um, it is kind of like a now Shantideva making very distinguish between the afflictive emotion pride and the pride of abilities. So the here pride of ability. So if that kind of like a pride of afflictive emotions, right? This refers to pride of afflictive emotions. No, so what do you call it? The afflictive emotion pride, yes, the ordinary, the afflictive emotion pride. If this ascetics puffed up with the conceit, right? Puffed up with the conceit, ngajal jingtian katubchin. And if this you call the proud, here proud refers to pride of abilities. If you call this is a pride of abilities, then tell me, and who are wretched? Wretched. Normally, kind of like a person who is carrying the arrogance, who is carrying the afflictive emotion pride, and those type of person is considering as a rigid, isn't it? Rigid, like a not really honorable, not really respectable or honorable. It's rigid, right? Rigid. Yeah. So if you think this is, or the that afflictive emotion pride is also the similar as a pride of abilities, then uh, that normally we considering the person who are so arrogant are considering as a rigid. So now tell me who are rigid now, because the pride of ability is some sort of like a um, needed to boost our diligence. Now, even if you think those arrogance are also the pride of abilities, then the person who we consider as a rigid by carrying the arrogance, and then the persons who are kind of like carrying this pride of abilities. So who will going to be the rigid? Then if that the case, there will not going to be any rigid person. Means that this is like a directly saying this way, indirectly that Shantideva was making distinguish between the pride of ability and the what is called the afflictive emotion pride, the ordinary pride. The ordinary pride and the pride of abilities. So the pride of ability, we already studied that um, from this stanza 54 and 55, and specifically in 55, introducing the entity of pride of abilities, right? So what does really mean the pride of abilities in stanza 55, and goes together with the 54. Okay, if I repeat this, therefore, in stanza 54, therefore, with the steadfast heart, I will get the better of my weaknesses. But if my failing get the upper hand, my wish to overcome the triple world is lovable indeed. So therefore, I will be victor over all here now. I will be victor over all. So they hear this all, that and nothing shall prevail and bring me down. So that as we discussed before, that this is what does it mean, that the pride of ability is, that is pride of ability, the sense of that, how to say, the pride of ability is the sense of kind of like a willing to overcome, or willing to how to say, uh, eliminating those faults, right? Those faults which is such as like a stinginess, right? Stinginess. And then the what do you call the all this 18 or 20 root downfall of bodhisattva's vow, right? That's morality, and the transgressing the morality, and then hate it, opposite of the patient, hate it, and then the laziness, and then the distractions, and then the confusion, ignorance, confusions, right? Confusions. So the pride of ability means the sense who really wants to overcome from these. So that's what it is saying, that I will be victor over all. overall, that those all these are the all that like a exact opposite of the six pranchana paramitas, like a stinginess, transgression of vow, and hatred, laziness, distractions, confusions, right? And then also small things like the 10 non-virtuous actions, right? The pride of ability means that sense of willing to overcome from this ordinary 10 non-virtuous actions, and then the opposite of six pranchana paramita, the how to say, six perfections, opposite of six perfections. That is that sense is known as the pride of abilities. You see? So therefore, that the afflictive emotion pride, and then this pride of ability, it's completely two different things. That the pride of ability actually wants to overcome from afflictive emotion pride. So the afflictive emotion pride itself doesn't want to destroy itself. Instead, that pride wants to maintain that pride. So want to continue that arrogance. So therefore, these two are different, distinguishing here. That's why it is saying, this ascetics puffed up with the conceit. If this you call proud, then tell me who are wicked. So that means the person, those who carrying this arrogance, and it is not considering as a pride of abilities at all. So the pride of ability means the sense which wants to overcome from all this opposition of six pranchana paramita, six perfections, and also particularly the sense that the pride of ability, the sense means the sense that which willing to overcome from pride itself, which in an ordinary arrogance, it does not, that sense does not exist on it. You see? So now that's how that Shantideva distinguishing these two very clearly. So the pride of ability means the sense of willing to overcome pride itself. But the ordinary pride means that ordinary pride does not have a sense to destroy itself. Rather, that it has a sense keep willing to continue the arrogance. And then carrying this continuous arrogance could bring all those above mentioned consequences. So if your pride bringing all above consequences, that means you should understand maybe your pride is arrogance, not the pride of abilities. Pride of ability, mainly the sense which willing to destroy the pride itself. That's the pride of ability. And then as well as willing to overcome or destroy all the opposite of six perfections, such as stinginess and transgressions of vow and hatred and laziness, distractions, confusion. You see, the sense who really wish to overcome from this, it's called pride of ability here. That's self-confident, pride of ability, which is something very much needed in order to develop this enthusiasm in our spiritual path, to improve our practice, And we must need it. Yes, this pride, we need it. The pride of action, I will do it, I will alone do it. And pride of ability, I will, how to say, I will definitely wants to overcome all those faults, and particularly the ordinary pride itself. I want to completely destroy this pride. And this sense is called as a pride of abilities. So when we understand this, the meaning of pride, the meaning of, yes, meaning of the uh, pride of abilities, then it makes very clear distinguish between this ordinary pride and the pride of abilities. So Shanti Deva here, it is just like a raising kind of like a question, right? Tell me who are rigid. Means if you even considering those ordinary pride as a pride of abilities, then there will not going to be any person who are object of rigid. Because this pride of ability is good, needed in order to develop our diligence. So this is not wrong. So the pride of ability is something very much required in order to the, how to say, develop our diligence to practice the Mahayana path. So that's how the question mark means actually indirectly saying this pride, the ordinary pride which we described, that which brings those all consequences, such as draw, draw it down a state of misery, ruin happiness, and so on, the slave, dependent, all this, the sense or the pride which brings all these consequences is not considering as a pride of abilities. That's the bottom line. Mm. And then the next one. Kangshi ngajal dale jalchir ngajal chang, stini ngajal chenda namjal pa de nit. Kangshi ngajal trado wayang te chomde, drola deshin gyawi debu zobra shes. Those who uphold pride to vanquish pride, the enemy, are truly proud, victorious, and brave. And they who stem the increase of the evil pride perfect according to their wish the fruit of victory for beings. So this is really truth. Now here, many of those bodhisattvas, and particularly those very uh, brave bodhisattvas, and such as like many people in this world, um, we make and predict those kind of like a racism revolutionary, right? Such as like Dr. Martin Luther King's and Lincoln's in America, and likewise also in Europe, maybe many peoples, and as well as in Asia. Yes, we do have so many in the past, even present. Even today's like people like Dalai Lama, and then our late holiness that I my personal myself observe so much that he have this pride of abilities. He will never going to give up to benefit others, regardless, no matter what happening out there. Therefore, even the Holiness Dalai Lama, that one occasion that he admired and praised our late Holiness in a public, that he said, this Penurimburche, when it comes to the Dharma and beings, when it comes to the Dharma and beings, and this Penurimburche person is, he have that braveness that even if he needs to make a hole to the rock by finger, he will going to not give up. He will going to make it hole to the rock by his finger. You see, that is the pride of ability. This is the pride of ability. So the person who have this pride of ability, you see here, those who uphold pride, right? That pride means the pride of ability. To vanquish the ordinary pride, right? To vanquish the ordinary pride, the enemy, the afflictive emotion pride, right? Are truly proud, and these are considering as a truly proud, victorious, and brave. Yeah, that's what it means, the pride of abilities here. Mainly pride of ability is here now, right? Pride of ability means who really wants to destroy or the vanquish the pride, the afflictive emotion pride, the ordinary pride, which is the enemy. And those who really have that braveness, the victorious, or the pride, that vanquishing the pride, the ordinary pride, and they who stem the increase of the evil pride, that through this pride of abilities, through this pride of ability, through this pride of ability and vanquishing or destroying the pride of afflictive emotions. And those will going to be the perfect according to their wish, the fruit of victory for beings. That's how they translate it. This is okay, in short, those persons who carrying this pride of abilities, and those will going to lead according to the being's wishes. They will going to lead and provide the fruition of fruition of victory from the ordinary pride. Means that the person who have this pride of abilities will be able to lead all the beings, fulfill all the beings' wishes, and then to lead them complete to enlightenment. So you see, this pride of ability is something very important. So with this now, we completed the introducing, Shantideva introducing the how do we understand the pride of abilities and distinguish with our ordinary arrogance, the ego or the pride. The ordinary pride is not willing to vanquish pride itself, which on the other hand, the pride of ability willing to vanquish the pride itself. That's the difference mainly now. As well as on the side, as I said earlier, the pride of ability means the sense of willing to overcome from all these opposite of six perfections are all considering as a pride of abilities. if our sense does not have any of these things, then we should be very careful, watch. And this is not the pride of ability then. Okay. And then now from here, talking about the third type of pride, which is the afflictive emotion pride. The So how to be pride in afflicted emotions. Yeah. So this how to be pride in afflicted emotion. So now this is named as this way. So when we say this name, what we hearing? We hearing some sort of like a pride, this afflictive emotion. How to be a pride in afflictive emotion? What do you hearing?
In English, it sounds a little bit conceitful.
Conceitful.
Yes, like to be proud in your completely emotions.
Yeah, this also, yeah. In Tibetan title also like Nyomumbing Ajal Komsor. Sound, the title, how they named this, what do you call the title, it's a little bit, but the meaning is kind of like it's different. Okay, so the when we explain, you will understand. Nyomon choji tene na namba tondo sensu de wala sobe sengeshin nyomon choji mitsu jas. Nyamga chetang chungyurja mi migne suwata deshin nyamga chungyurja nyomon wando migyurshas. So here, when I am beleaguered, is it beleaguered? When I am beleaguered by defilements, I will stand and face them in 1,000 ways. I will not surrender to the host of the afflictions, but like a lion, I will stand amid a crowd of foxes. So that is now the pride in afflicted emotions. See, even though that afflictive emotions are blanket to oneself, yeah, blanket, by defilements, all those afflicted emotions. But I will going to carry that pride, that I will going to stand just like a lion. How the lion standing in amid a crowd of foxes. Doesn't matter how many thousands of foxes may be there, but actually this is example, right? The meaning is clear. So the meaning we can, this example, just to understand the meaning, means that even though how many afflicted emotions surrounded and covering in my mind, but in the deep in my mind, we should keep that. Again, this is pride of abilities. We should keep that pride, that not to surrender to all those around afflicted emotions. That's what it means now, how to be pride in afflicted emotions. And however the great may be their peril, right? Peril, dangerous, right? Peril, danger, risk. People will be reflex, guard their eyes. Not necessarily by doing this, but always like you see, even though something bam happened, the first time the person protect is the eye. Immediately, look close to your eye, right? Doesn't want to get hurt in eye. Even some noise from behind, boom. You see, this This is example, which is very beautiful example. Like, however, the great may be their peril, people will be reflex guard their eyes, right? Same way, in the same way, and likewise, I, whatever danger comes, must not fall down beneath defilement's power. So that is the how to be a pride in afflicted emotion now again. Right? Now you understand why the title named in that way. How to be a pride in afflicted emotion. It's not talking about conceit.
No, it needs a comma.
It could be like conceit, right? You are conceiting yourself among the afflictive emotion. But there's a no actually about the object person. There's no person. It is not talking, it is all talking within our mind. It is all talking within our mental. Even our mind is fully surrounded by all these emotions. But still, you should try to have in the middle of that, the mental, the mind should have this pride that doesn't matter even how much these afflictive emotions surround it, I will not going to surrender. That is the pride in afflicted emotions. And here it describing that whatever danger comes, right? So the whatever danger come, what does it mean? And explaining the next stanza, the meaning of whatever danger. Now, this is something I think challenge for the beginner. Yes, I will say definitely challenge for the beginners. That what it is saying like dan is sick de se jurtam da ki go che jang lai namba kundu nyomo be dal de permijos. Better for me to be burned to death, and better to be killed, my head cut off. At no time will I bow and scrub before that foe of mine, defiled emotion. You see? Now, this is the pride in afflicted emotions. That's what it means now. But for the beginner, people like us, yes, definitely, that danger. Okay, we may wish to face the risk and dangerous, but at the beginning, we may not be able to take that big risk. We may immediately think, oh, what if I die? And then who will going to practice this pride of pride in afflicted emotion? So in order to practice in pride in afflicted emotion, I must leave. We have this concept immediately, you see. But those great experienced masters, they don't worry about dying, because dying is not considering as an end. You build by 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 practicing in this way and even letting your life go away, and it builds the very strong habit in your mind, so the wherever you born the next life, you can have this very solid seat about this pride of abilities and pride in afflicted emotions, that you may never surrender at all in the future. We surrender this by thinking that if I lose my life, if I cut my head, who will going to practice the pride in afflicted emotion? We had this worry, and then we let afflicted emotion won by us. Then that's habit. repeating again, then in the future we lose many times by we are defeated many times by our emotions because we let it lose ourselves before. So that habit is there, that pattern is there. So this pattern will repeat, and then we always kind of like a let our afflicted emotion win by excusing many ways. As excusing, as I said just now, this we may excuse like, oh, I better to uh, let my afflicted emotion win to save my own life so I can practice the pride in afflicted emotions. See, we make this excuse. But this excuse, and one time you letting afflictive emotion win, then next time again, and then 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, then that becomes habit, pattern. And then we keep losing whenever the afflictive emotion comes, we are unable to control, we are unable to overpower. Instead, afflicted emotion will going to overpower us. So Shantideva, what he is saying here. So even though this that much risk or the danger that one may needs to take to practice this pride in afflicted emotions, better to take it. That's what. This is big sacrificing, isn't it? Sacrifications. It is big sacrifications, yes. That is the one reason that people, they little giving up in a spiritual path. We ordinarily unable to seeing this practice, this path is more important than our life. Instead, there's nothing important than our life. We have that mental set. We have this mental set. There's nothing important than self. There's nothing important than life, right? Own life, our own life. We have this mindset. Therefore, when we need to exchange this risk, danger with the spiritual path, and particularly here, the spiritual path, how to be a pride in afflicted emotions, we are, most of the time, we fail to exchange these two. Most of the time, we fail to exchange this. And then one time fail, 2 time fail, and then that's how we build the habit, and then patterns. And then later, whenever it comes, and then we feel, oh, it's already happened before. Now, one more time, no problem. And we accept. And then coming again, the later come more quicker than before, more sooner than before. And then again, we excuse ourselves. It's already happened. Now doesn't matter. Accept another. And then next time, even it comes closer, the sooner, much sooner than before. That condition comes sooner than before. And that's how. And then later, it comes often, constantly, continuously. And then we think, oh, I already did this before. Now let's do it again. Do it again. And then that's how we will going to controlled completely by our afflicted emotion. That's how afflicted emotion win by us, right? Win by win by self. And then now self is controlled by emotions. And now we become the slave of emotion. Now emotion is ruling us. That is exactly that in a chapter first we described. It is similar, like example, for example, these things we are unable to, we are fail or unable to see that these emotions are really ruling me, really controlling me, really pushing me down to the misery. We are fail unable to see that because maybe it is too close. That's why we are unable to see. It is just like, for example, we have saying in Tibetan, this eyelash we will not be going to able to see because it is too close to the eye. Likewise, these emotions are staying right beside our mental, our mind. That's why mind fail to feel it. Mind fail to see it. To see these things and then using those metaphor, for instance, you invited some guests in your house. Okay? Okay, so this is my house. I invited someone. And then now, this guest, first day, being humble, nice, and then polite, staying in my house. And then by week, by month, by year, then gradually this guest is ruling me, right? For instance, this guest is trying to ordering me. This guest is trying to control me. This guest is kind of like a treating this house as his. If that happens, what I will going to feel, what you will going to feel. Now, then what we will going to do? The next step is what? What? Find the way to kick him out, right? Legally or whatsoever, the talk or the or call police or whatsoever, the legally kick out. That's what normally we do. This is right. This is something right. Yeah. Some gays trying to control this house, which is not his. Absolutely. This is right things to do. So let him go out. Likewise, this afflictive emotions actually doing that same exact job. But we are fail to see this. Which this metaphor which I gave you, it's very easy to see that, right? Which very easy to see that because there's a visible, some person is there visible, and then he is verbalizing, talking to me, controlling me. It's all very visible, tangible, visible, seeable, right? Actually, this how this metaphor which I gave you, the exact same, this afflictive emotions of my mind doing to me. So the first, when they didn't have much power in my mind, they are being very humble in a sweet way, they coming. Once I let them in my mind is like a house, right? Once I let them in my house, means in my mind, Then day by day, week by week, month by month, then these emotions, the guess is like emotion. This emotion, guess, treating this house mind is like theirs, which is very unfair, which is not there at all. This mind is mine. This house of mind is mine house, right? Now some guests came, all turn it round. I become slave of them. Owner becomes slave, guest become owner. Is it fair? Is it acceptable? But in this case, this is just example, right? Metaphor. But in a meaning, in this case, we are accepting. We are accepting to guest to become a owner and owner to become a slave. We are accepting. So one accept, two accept. How this guest become owner? Because I accept one first, okay. Second, okay. Third, okay. Then that guest will going to do next time. He will going to act something to try to control me like sooner than before, right? And then closer, and then constantly, continuously, he will going to say something, do something to control me. Just like this afflictive emotions. Or those, when we first time think, oh, it's okay, let it be. And that will going to be the big mass, begins from there. And then afflictive emotion will going to say, oh, this person will going to listen, so I will tell again after some time. And then we will going to say ourselves, oh, I already accepted before. Now there's no point for me to not accept this one. Okay, accept another one. And then the next time, a little bit sooner than before, he will going to demand something else. And then we again feel, oh, I already accepted those twos. Now there's no point for me to not accept this third one. Accept. That's how our mind is controlled by these emotions. And then later, emotions becomes growing, getting stronger and stronger and stronger. Then our mind is become slave. Oneself becomes slave, and this one's guest become boss. So in a metaphor way, when we see this, we can feel and experience and we can imagine very easily. But in this case, many times we fail to even imagine that. When we contemplate, then we may a little bit able to imagine that, oh, yes, this is happening. But when we do not pay attention, when we do not contemplate, then we often lose. Oftenly, many times we lose. And that's the pattern that we have been repeating within ourselves. For me, for instance, yes, that kind of pattern is there. It's repeating. And then it's overpowering. Sometimes try to fight with it. Sometimes able to win for a time period. And then when I become little relaxed, then it attracts again. And then sometimes I lose. And when I lose, then this emotion overpowering to me. Then creates so many trouble, so many unwilling things, right? Unwilling things happening. I'm sure this is happening to people like me, in many of those people who like me. Now we should read these books, that what Shantideva, how they introducing to understand all this mental issue, mental issue like a guest controlling my property, right? Some stranger comes and taking over my property. Exactly, this metaphor. It's quite happening among us, people like me. So now we should be careful after understanding all this. And then now how find the way how we can solve this by strengthening or boosting this pride of abilities. See, pride of ability, pride in afflicted emotion, and pride in action. See, pride in action, pride in ability, pride in afflicted emotions. And these are the sense that we need to generate again and again within ourselves. So I will never lose my property to some stranger or some outside person or to the gas, right? Mm. So this practice, I think, very important for all of us. Actually, not only just these things, this whole Shantideva's, this way of Bodhisattva's life, these trainings are very relevant, rational. I'm not saying this is just easy to practice, but this is very helpful. The persons who have a willing to practice Mahayana path. Oh, so that is known as a pride of afflicted emotion, okay? Pride in afflicted emotion. 대신 내급 탐주도 rigbaleni shenmi ches. Thus, in every time and place, I will not wander from the wholesome path. So the now here, how we differentiate, how we distinguish whether oneself is wander from the wholesome path or not. Wonder whether oneself wander from the wholesome path or not. See? So the till now, Shantideva explained everything. So the root, the main, okay, so the vital point here is to not to letting oneself overpowered by one's own inflicted emotions, pride, right? Ego, arrogance, and then so on rest of the other emotions. Yes, the main, that how one can away, or how I will not wander from the wholesome path, is to not to kind of like a staying away from this our arrogance, the pride, and so on. Others like like emotion, like attachment, dualistics, jealousy, and so on. Mainly the pride here, right? So in general, all the emotion, particularly the arrogance, pride. When we not let powered by this emotions, pride, and so on, that's what it means that I will not wander from the wholesome path. Okay, so now how do we understand ourselves that whether I myself is wandering from the wholesome path or not? In this way, in short now, in this way. As long as we, okay, as long as I, for instance, as long as I, not overpowered by emotions in general, particularly the arrogance here in this case, if I myself is not overpowered by arrogance, the pride, ego, then does not matter how many people say about that, oh, this is so, this Tukudawa is so arrogant, or Tukudawa have a so big ego, whatsoever people call, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. As long as be very aware myself to not to let powered by arrogance to myself. That's why our late holiness, he made it this statement very clear in one time, one occasional his advice. You do not worry that outside people calling you arrogance or ego, egoful. What? Huh? Egotistic. Yeah, the outside people or the people calling you arrogance or egotistics. Do not worry that. You just turn your mind and watch yourself. Look yourself and be aware yourself that whether you really have that ego, what's that? Egotistic, arrogance, pride, or not. Once you very clear, aware that if I do not have this arrogance or egotistics or pride, whatsoever we call, then holiness told this advice, then you, regardless what other people talks about, you do not need to worry. In a point, you are in a good position. Regardless what outside people say, but in point, you are in a right position. If you do not lay low or extinguish this arrogance, egotistics, pride, then on the other hand, does not matter how much other people say, praise, that Tugudawa does not have an arrogance, does not have an egotistics, does not have a pride. It's just fake. It is just hypocrisy. It is just delusion. That does not help. So here now, that's why here, I will not wander from the wholesome path. I will not wander from the wholesome path. The mainly we should check inwardly, not to wait that, oh, if somebody telling me I am in a good, then I become, then I'm not wander from the wholesome path. If somebody is criticizing and if somebody is bullying, oh, then that means I am wander from the wholesome path. This does not make that. Whether one wanders from the wholesome path or not, it's completely depend on oneself. How to judge, how to check, how to scrutinize? By scrutinizing whether I myself overpowered by arrogance or not, whether I myself overpowered by attachment or not, whether myself overpowered by dualistics or not, whether myself overpowered by jealous or not, hated or not, stingy or not, self-cherishing or not. As long as oneself is not overpowered by any of these emotions, particularly the arrogance, regards to this case, right? Then doesn't matter what people thinks. I'm not wander from the wholesome path. That's how we distinguish that whether oneself is wandered from the wholesome path or not. Okay, so that's the point here, Shanti, they were putting up here. The root, the vital point, the pinpoint is completely depend on self is overpowered by afflictive emotions or not, the pride, arrogance or not. That's where we should scrutinize. That's where we should carefully check. And then from there, we can judge ourselves whether one self is wander from the wholesome path or not. Clear? So in this way, we should have this like a pride in afflicted emotions. And then the next one is now this joy. Joy is needed in order to boost our diligence, so we can improve, develop our bodhicitta, our Mahayana spiritual path. That's the goal, right? So we can achieve enlightenment. That's the main purpose. So when we come back, in order to achieve enlightenment, we need to develop our spirit, the Mahayana spiritual path, which is like we need to improve our bodhicitta. And in order to improve bodhicitta, we need diligence. And in order to improve the diligence, we need joy. Joy in our training, joy in our action, joy in our training. When the person have an enthusiastic joy, interest in their training, then that person will going to develop, improve sooner, right? That's why now the third condition is the joy. Third allies is the joy. First, aspiration and self-confident or the pride. And then now third is the joy. Joy or enthusiastic, right? Keen interest. Keen interest. Here the joy means the keen interest or enthusiastic. That's what means the joy. The third one. Third alliance to improve our diligence is the joy, in short, right? So now, how to improve the joy, Shantideva introducing from here. Tsemi dendre de batar dei chavi le kangin le de lan shen chate Lede mingom gaure shas. So now this is example, kind of like those who take great pleasure in their games. Whatever task the Bodhisattva do, Bodhisattva, why they added this Bodhisattva here? No need to add this Bodhisattva here. Anyway, so the meaning Bodhisattva is there. Yeah, these are, I think, this is trying to the translating the meaning, not the word. Let them devote themselves without reserve, with joyfulness that never knows satiety, never become satisfied. See, they never become satisfied, satiety. This is example actually. This example, actually, it is truth based on my own experience as well. For instance, I love the soccer game. For me to go play soccer game, oh, I have a so keen interested to do anything, whatever it needs to be it needs to be done to get to play the soccer game. And then while playing soccer, okay, let's say the one reason that we're playing game to win, that's the one goal, right? But not only the win is later, right? It will decide after 90 minutes. But from the minute 1 to minute 90, so enjoy. We are just enjoying, right? We just ourselves like kind of like a lost in soccer game. It is kind of like a not lost. I think we can say like our mind is dissolved in soccer game. Complete, very focusing, contemplating in game. So you see, that itself has a lot of pleasure, joy, right? This is one example. Likewise, like many for kids, just to gain this pleasure of playing. And for that, whatever they do, even they carrying things, all they will going to do with this full of joy. Even they need to carry the bag, even they need to carry the, I don't know, drive like a 1 hour from the house until to reach to that playground. Oh, even driving with the enthusiastic, right? Carrying back with the full of joy. Carrying those all substance, like for instance, in Toronto, the Canada, we are playing a lot of this the game, the snow ice hockey. Oh, a lot of things to carry, right? The person who does not interest in so hockey game, they will think, "Phew, what this guy doing carrying so many things?" But on the other hand, the person who have a really like to play the hockey game, they do not have any problem to carrying all this bunch of full bag and the sticks, right? Stick, very long stick, helmets and then boots. Oh, these are so heavy actually. Normally, if we ask them to carry, just go out and come back, they won't. But on the other hand, if you ask them to carry this to go to play, oh, then they will love, they will carry this all things with the joyful. And then even I know myself, somebody who have so strong interest, even they help to carry others. They will say, like, they will give you a hand. Oh, if you feel tired, heavy, don't worry, I'll do it. I'll do it for you. They will do that, right? The kids do that. Kid gives each other's hand in that way. You see now. That is what exactly it's talking about. Like those who take great pleasure in their games. Whatever tasks, they will do it, right? They will do it, all these tasks, with the pleasure, with the joyful. And then that they never knows the satiety. Yes. Means they never satisfied by doing so. Actually, the like, okay, here the one another point is the like and dislike. Either regards to dharma or mundane. It is something really makeable. You know what I mean? Makeable. We can make it like and dislike. Like and dislike is not something merely coming. No, it's randomly coming. No, we're making it. We're making it to like or not. In a dharma, also it's like that. We can make it like to dharma practice, and we can also make it not like to practice dharma. And then mundane, same. We can make it ourselves like to engage into mundane, or we can make it ourselves dislike to engage into mundane. Like and dislike is very much makeable. Related with the things, games, foods, person, right? And then even chanting, reciting mantra according to the dharma, okay, according to the spiritual practice, giving generosity, morality, patience, diligence, meditations, convictions, chanting, visualizing, reciting mantra, prostrations, circumambulations, offerings. We can make it ourselves to like it or dislike it or neutral. This like and dislike neutral is something very makeable, very flexible actually. It will not going to just pop up with randomly, never. From the spiritual point of view or from the mundane point of view, both. This like and dislike is something that we can make it ourselves. Once we like it, then even we will going to like it to its task to gain it. Is it? It to its kind of like to its cause, which you need to put effort. For instance, those people who have so interested in game, just we talked before, they will going to love to take all this task, even carrying all these bags and things. Likewise, the businessmen who are really enthusiasm in business, and they will travel, they will talk, they will negotiate. So the normally traveling, talk, negotiating itself is something very difficult to do it, right? But the person who have a really interested in doing business, they will make themselves to love travel. They will make themselves to love negotiating with others. They will make themselves to love talking, being talkative. Because these are the costs to success in business, right? If you do not travel, you do not negotiate, how you will going to success business? There's no way you will success in business. Likewise, raising family and restaurant, running restaurant, right? These are all part of the business, right? Anyway, so here now, Shantideva, what it is saying, like the person who really they like that the what do you call that? Those who take great pleasure in their games, right? In their games. Whatever the task is there to be done, they will do it. They will do it with the full of joy, not just do it, they will do it with the full of joy, right? This is just as an example how the kids or the persons, when they like to play the game, even to the tasks for to play the game, whatever needs to be done, they will do all those tasks. They take all these tasks with the full of joyful. Likewise, those bodhisattvas, actually, the meaning is those bodhisattvas, like engaging into implementing those four immeasurable and six pranchana paramitas and so on, the benefiting beings. They feel the task itself is joyful, regardless of whether they are able to accomplish or not accomplish, doesn't matter. The task itself, they will going to take it with the full of joy. Just like those kids who like to play game. So for the game, whatever the task that needs to be done before, they will do it all this with the full of joy. Just like that. That is one, in one hand, introducing, it's called joy now. That's what it is, joy. This is just merely joy. That's kind of sense that we need to generate within us. That's what it means. That how those kids taking pleasure, joy in the task for the game, right? To experience the fruition of game, to the cause, how they taking all this with the full of pleasure. Likewise, those bodhisattvas, to fruition is to enlighten. For the enlightened, not just to the enlightened joy, but also the joy or taking pleasant in the cause of enlightenment, such as those above practice, implement that which we discuss. In short, four immeasurable and six pranchana paramitas. And then now next, Devi tendu le shekang dejur mijur tol mejis. Kangi le nit dejurwa dele meje jidar des. The people labor hard to gain contentment, though success is very far from sure. But how can they be happy if they do not do those deeds that are the source of joy to them? What do you get in from this? So the first two lines is it's saying like this. Those kind of like a mundane um, activities, right? Those mundane activities such as fixing enemies, protecting relatives, engaging into business, engaging into farming, and so on. These are, we can summarize all the mundane activities into these four. So all the mundane job or the work, hard work, whatsoever we're doing, highly likely we are doing to fulfill this, any of these four purposes, right? And we are engaging into all these mundane, four types of mundane activities. The really purpose is to achieve some happiness, achieve some pleasure, pleasant. But the task itself is so hard, difficult. Task itself is so difficult. On the other hand, that difficult task itself, even though we take this hard work, hardship, but the goal, the purpose which we really wanting is happiness, pleasure, pleasant, it's not really sure. It's far from sure. That's what it means. Though success is very far from sure. It's not really sure that happiness will going to be bring if when I complete hard working in any of those four activities of mundane. Firstly, the activity itself is so hard. Secondly, the result, the fruition which I really wishing is far from sure, very uncertain. But on the other hand, how can they be happy if they do not do those deeds that are the source of joy to them? Which means, on the other hand, those like these bodhisattvas activities, such as implementing those four immeasurable, six prajna paramita practice and benefiting others and so on. Briefly, we can summarize into these 10 activities. Regardless of fruition, what we wishing do, what is the purpose of doing all this? What is the purpose of engaging into all this practice? Right? But the task itself, it's very joyful. That's what Shantideva was saying here. The task itself, engaging into four immeasurable, implementing six prajna paramitas, and so on, that task itself is joyful. So that therefore, how can they be happy if they do not do this? These deeds that are the source of joy to them. To them, the task itself is joy. Now maybe we will say, this our tricky mind will immediately think. And then it's the same. those kind of like a householder or lay person, that who, okay, lay or whatsoever, doesn't matter, who have interested in gaining the mundane pleasure, who is looking for mundane pleasure, right? Mundane pleasure, happiness. To them, they may feeling fixing enemies, protecting families, relatives, and business and farming. They may feeling joy. Okay, if they are feeling joy, then perfect. Are you really? Some people are just going to say this to protect their face. Yeah, this many happens, many things. Shantideva here being very kind of like a very open here, right? If you ask to this bodhisattvas, are you enjoying meditating for immeasurable? Are you enjoying practicing six prajna paramitas? Yeah, they will say yes. We can see many um, examples, as well as when we practice, we can also sense that. For instance, this is very obvious that once someone is so facing difficult or finance problem or whatsoever, when we able to keep support at that moment, don't deceive yourself, don't lie yourself. At that moment, the joy, the tremendous joy is there. Even tiny, tiny, small joy that we are unable to aware sometimes, even to giving $2, $3 to the beggars, it brings joy. Even when we able to feed the one hungry person, it brings joy, right? It brings joy. That is just natural. Task itself is joy task. That's what it means, Chandradeva here. Likewise, morality, patience, these are also like that, diligence. We might write many questions, yes, because we have this tricky mind. Immediately we raise so many questions. But we have to be very genuine and honest to ourselves. And as I said earlier, that some people may against this and then say to just to protect their face. They may say, and then the person who is looking mundane pleasure, they may enjoying doing business. They may enjoying fixing enemies. They may enjoying protecting their family and relatives and so on. They may enjoying farming. And then some people also talks about, oh, I'm enjoying farming. Really? Are you sure? Really? 100% sure? That's what it is talking about here. The people labor hard to gain contentment, though success is very far from sure. That's regards to the mundane, uh, looking for, trying to achieve the mundane pleasure. But on the other hand, how can they be happy if they do not do those deeds that are the source of joy to them? The task itself, actually, it is not talking about the source. The task, the action itself is joyful action. So the action which itself is joyful actions, who will not going to be engaged? Okay, we may stop here. The time is over. Mhm. So we are about to complete this chapter. So after we finish this chapter, and then that how normally we do this test for 2 sessions. Okay. Huh?
3 days.
2 sick days, sick leave. So the 2 day after we finish this chapter, this chapter is almost finished now. And then after we complete this chapter, we will going to review this whole chapter again. What is the main point and how Shandideva guiding to boost our diligence and so on, that whatsoever we studied within this chapter. So we were going to review by taking tests to all of you. Okay. Okay. So now we do dedication. Sanam de tamje zibani tomne nye bendanam pamje ne shega nanchi walan trubai siben zolen rogun warsho jambal pa jidara kemba dam kundu sambu te ande jinde te da kunjin jizun dalobjin Gyewan de da tamje rabdongo, Gyewan de yeshe okun, Sanam yeshe tsodon, Sanam yeshe le chungwe, Tamba kunyin tobar shu, Sanje kusum nyebe chen labda, Chenye menjur dembe chen labda, Genden meche dembe chen labki, Jitarango melam drubar shu. So the read in English. By this beneficial activity may I obtain omniscience, and having vanquished the harmful enemies, greed, anger, delusion, may I liberate all being tossed about helplessly by the waves of birth, aging, illness, and death in the ocean of becoming. By conforming to the knowledge of courageous Manjushri, Jambalyang, and in the same way as Samindabhadra, Kundusambo, and following their example, I dedicate perfectly all this virtue. By this virtue, may all being perfectly achieve the accumulation of merit, sunam, and wisdom, yeshe, and may they thereafter obtain the two holy bodies which result from this true accumulation. By the blessing of the Buddha, Sanjay, who obtained the three bodies, by the blessing of the immutable truth of the Dharmata, Chenyi, by the blessing of the infallible aspiration of the Sangha, Gendin, may this prayer of dedication be accomplished just as it is. Thank you. Have a good day. See you later.